Hey guys, welcome back to Decoding Axes and Allies. This is Detroit, or your co-host Detroit, coming to you from the bunker here in Rothschild Park, New Jersey, along with my co-host, who's coming to you from the Canadian Pacific West Coast, from Vancouver, British Columbia, the one and only Gargantua. All right, so once again, welcome back to Decoding Axes and Allies. And today I'm very happy, as my good friend Gargantua would say, we're stoked. We're very happy. We are excited because we have a very special guest. He is our friend, Jason Gray, better known in the community as Sire Blood, who happens to be an excellent customizer, but he's even better known for his creation of the game variant called the BBR, which stands for the Bloodbath rule set. So, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time for being here with us. What do you say?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's always it's great to see you guys. Better in person, but this is just as good too. So thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for being here with us today. Gargantua, any words before we start the line of questioning?
Yeah. So I'm got to be careful here because I think Detroit's got a series of aggressive investigative questions because I guess the draw happened. I'm not sure if it was last night or the day before, but at the BBR, Detroit and Sireblood are going head to head on day one here. And I know that we were going to have a more open and transparent discussion, but I'm pretty sure that's been shelved because the tensions are high. So if you guys sense an edge because the policeman's asking too many questions, that's what's really going on here. And I think actually this might have been Detroit's plan all along when he set this thing up was, well, if I set it up and I just happen to draw this guy, then maybe I can grill him a bit and get some critical intel. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of that backdrop to the conversation before we get going.
There is absolutely no tension whatsoever. Sire is my good friend, and I have the utmost respect for him, not only because of his expertise in customizations and the game variants and all that, but because he is a great guy, and no pressure whatsoever. I do got to give him props. I do believe that we are the underdog team. Ironsides, who happens to be my teammate for this upcoming BBR4, I do believe we are the underdog team here, but we're gonna give you guys a battle.
In our testing, I feel the axes have a slight way in this new variant, which is why I changed the Commonwealth a little bit right before the tournament, just because the Commonwealth being the newest nation, I figured if I was going to do an adjustment, I should do it on them because they're new anyways. So I don't know. You give a good shot.
Heard, there have been a couple of people that have been making commentaries in the chats that they feel the same, that they believe the Axes have a slight advantage in this BBR 4.0 version of the game variant. So, there may be some truth to that, but we shall see. We shall see. Nothing's written in stone, to say the least. So, Sire, guys in the community want to know what you're all about. Can you talk about yourself? Where you're from? What school you went to? What do you do for a living, as an example?
Well, I in California, in Riverside until I was in high school. And then from there, I went to Washington State. And I was there until, I was there for about 20 years. And then I finally came back to California.
Wow.
And what I was a game programmer. And when I moved back to California, I worked from home. And my dad here had a construction business and remodeling kitchens and bathrooms and that kind of thing. And me working from home, he took it as really I didn't have a job and I can lend a hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would get the call, hey Jason, next week can you help me out Wednesday? Hey Jason, next week can you help me out? Anyway, so this went on, and I just enjoyed it so much. I just kept showing up, and for a while I was juggling both. I had my clients that I did the programming for, while I still help my dad. And then I just love the creativity of the designing of and the woodworking. So I quit programming, and now I do this full time still.
So that explains why you're multifaceted. I mean, you're an excellent woodworker. You can definitely do magic with cabinets and cabinetry making. And I see we've all seen what you've done with your game tables. We you know the gift that you gave to Larry Harris during the 2017 YG Invitational in Canada.
Oh yes, yes.
Was absolutely beautiful. So we know that end of your talent is, you know, we know it very well. And also we happen to know your artistic talent as well with software, where you can create all these beautiful maps and your website and all that, which kind of like makes you a multifaceted individual who's very talented. So that's now I understand why it is that you know a little bit of everything, a jack of all trades of sorts.
Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
So anyway, so what prompted you to get into the hobby? Where did this interest in Axis and Allies come from? Why wasn't it some other game that you got into?
Well, I didn't get along. I think that's not the right word. I didn't know my dad. And I was kind of in the boat where I was forced to go over there every other weekend. But every other weekend he might have been busy, so it might have been every other weekend. So basically, maybe I saw him once every 3 months, we'll say, for the longest time. And I didn't like going over there because I didn't know him. You know what I mean? And so I went over there once, and he bought the classic Axis and Allies, so we can kind of hang out and play. And that game. Yet playing that game is the only way I was able to bond with my father at that age. And at that point, I look forward to going over there to play the game. So that's how I started, you know, it's just then addicted.
We're going back to
Awesome.
the 1980s, I presume.
Yes. It was the classic. That would have been 80. I'm going to say it was not the 84 release, but more like the 87 release of the classic.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's more or less around the same time I got into the game, because I remember I was in high school at the time, and I think it was like 87 or 88. I was a sophomore in high school, a freshman at the time, and one of my buddies introduced me to the game. So it's interesting that we got into the game at the time, more or less around the same time, which is interesting.
Right. If for the people that have any of the BBR rule books, the very first page is me playing the game in 6th grade.
Yes. Yeah,
yeah. That was me with my dad. I was about sixth grade playing the game.
Awesome. That's something, you know, that you always have with you. So without doubt, that's something that's very nice. All right. So the BBR. How did the BBR come about? What was the inspiration where'd you get the inspiration to create the BBR? Wasn't global enough for you?
It was too much in a sense. Even though the BBR is more, it was the fact that the 1940 out of box just took too long.
Okay.
And the people I met to play it generally would drive an hour and a half to my house. We don't want to play all day, and then they got to turn around and drive hour and a half back. You know what I mean? It got to the point, it's like, man, we got to wrap this up at a decent time so they can go home. And that's when we started working on, when I say we, there was myself, you know, Jay.
Yes.
Andrew, and man, it's been so.
Albert, I think one of the guys in your group too, Albert.
Oh, Albert, yeah, that was. I was like, I felt bad. I can't remember his name, but yeah, Albert. That was the main three with me, and then there was like the main circle. Then there was an outer circle of a few other guys that were more random, but they still came together.
So basically, you realized that there was a need to come up with some sort of variant for the game, right? So
yeah, just so we can get done. Just
right. So how did you come about the idea of making it an 8-round game? How did that happen? What was the dynamic or the thinking?
We were pretty efficient players, and we can generally do one round in an hour. So we figure if between travel time and game time, it's a 12-hour day for them. And that's how we kind of settled it. We just want to play for 8 hours, you know. So and we were able to play around in an hour. So just that's how that happened.
It's funny because I think that all people that played the classic version of the game and then the revised version of the game, then anniversary, as we played the game, we always, at least I always felt in my play group, that there were areas of the game that could be improved upon. I felt that there was a need to add additional pieces. I always felt that there was a need for a destroyer type of piece that needed to be included in the game. Eventually, I felt that there was a need for a cruiser as well. I felt the need for there to be heavy tanks, medium armor, light armor, and so on and so on. And I think we all saw or have seen that there was definitely room for improvement in the game. Even though Larry Harris did an excellent job at creating the original game. I mean, what he did was brilliant, you know, but the fact that as we played the game, we saw these, I don't want to say shortcomings, but we saw that the game could be improved upon. And I guess that's all part of the experience that we all have had in the community in general, for the most part. So
yeah, I have to agree with you. There's been lots of areas of opportunity and you know, lots of things to try. And in some ways, I feel like that's part of the Axis&Allies experience is, you know, setting your own house rules and making it so that your group enjoys it more. And I really do hear, you know, what a lot of people like. Not everybody's up for a 14 to 18 hour session or like a 2 to 3 day session just to play one game. So I do appreciate that. And at least we're not in the unreasonable realm of games like Third Reich that could take 3 months to play, right? So I do appreciate that. And so thanks, Sired, for really pushing it's an 8-round game. Here's the end. Here's how we're going to get there. And you know, here's the points you can score. And that's, you know, that brings this thing about.
That was the other thing too, is like you know, you always got to call the game at some point on out of box. And then you always say, well, I won, but like, I would have done this, or I would have done this. So you didn't win. And it's just kind of, that's why we just had to come to understanding points. Did you obtain the points? No, then you lost. You know,
I think we've all been there after 8-10 hours of gameplay, and it's now 8, 9, 10 rounds later, and you're looking at each other across the table, expecting your opponent to say, "Okay, I concede."
Right.
To get back into that conversation where like, no, if I, you know, wait another round or two, I think I could turn this thing around and you'll be up against the post. You know, so we've definitely all been there. So, Syed, what can we expect from this upcoming BBR4? And I can't believe that this is going to be the 4th BBR.
I know.
You know, I can't believe this. It's been a fantastic experience, and I am so looking forward to this BBR4. What can we expect? What's different?
Well, this is, we've been slowly progressing, and when I say we, it's because I don't feel the BBR is no longer me. It's like I feel it's more of a community game. It's yours just as mine. You know, I take your input, and we test things. I take their input. So
allow me to interject one little commentary there. When I first started doing the YouTube wars, I started referring to the BBR as the term just because I felt uncomfortable every time having to refer to the game as Bloodbath Rule. And I said to you, can I refer to it as a BBR? And he goes, yeah, man, go ahead and do it. You know, so I like to think that I can take credit for giving that acronym, those 3 letters to the game. So when
that's all you.
It's a community thing. I can totally relate to that. So
no, that's all you. You done this variant, the BBR. That's all you.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So what?
But the things that changes is we've been slowly getting the map more usable. So BBR4, South America has a victory point now. So there's a reason to go there, not just pick up the couple Brazil guys and take off.
Yeah.
There's a reason to go to Alaska now because there's a victory point there. The neutrals have been opened, so you can attack without so much repercussion, it's not even worth it. Now there are consequences to doing these certain things, but nothing. It's at a 50-50 range. You know what I mean? It's not like there's no way I'm going to do that because this is going to happen. Now everything is kind of tangible. Do you want to attack Turkey? Yeah, maybe. You know, kind of just basically just trying to use every spot of the map, and we've been doing that. Every variant has been opening up more and more and more.
Well, and the interesting thing about what you're saying is that it all follows historical accuracy. It's all historically accurate. The what ifs. What would have happened if Turkey would have gone into the war, or Spain for that matter, or what would have happened if Argentina or Chile would have turned axes? Well, these are all things that are historically accurate and that could have happened.
Yeah, a lot of research went into making those rules. So, you know, it wasn't like just something I threw off my head, you know what I mean? It was, I try to make it legit as possible, you know?
No doubt. And of course, needless to say, we have to give credit to G.I. Joe, who's been your partner there in a lot of developments. I got to give him a lot of credit for that because he definitely has had a role to play with all of that. Now, can you tell me about the bunker? Anything new? I see that you have something going on there as far as a bar in the background. Is that part of
it?
I
got the bar. The bar should be done by the time you guys get here.
Okay.
You know, and unfortunately that's the most of the mods to the house have been upstairs. So
of course,
this is the only love the downstairs got since last year.
Okay, it's still a fantastic bunker you have down there. It's beautiful. It's spacious. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's perfect for the BBR. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question that is a little bit maybe difficult. I don't know if it is, you know, but it's a question the question is about the changes. We all know that the BBR, since its inception, has been evolving, not changing, evolving every year. And some of the guys think, oh my God, I got to go out there now and get another game map. It's another $80, $100 that I got to spend. Oh my God, I got to get the refills for the card deck or new accessories. So it's a kind of bittersweet for me because I can understand both, you know, those people who argue against the changes on a yearly basis. And for those like yourself that say, man, the changes are good because they introduce something different for every single BBR event. What's your take on that?
I look at it as BB1, BB2. They're different games. We didn't make BB4 because BB3 was broke. BB3 is just BB3. I mean, how many of us would love it for them to have made 1940 third edition? We all would love them to produce another one and continue on. If Axis&Allies just stayed classic forever, I mean, nobody complains when they put out a new game. They go buy the new game. So BBR is the same thing. It's BB1 is as closest to out of box as you'll get,
right.
And BB4 now being the furthest from out of box as you can get. Now, if I would have started with BB4, the rule set from BB4, if I would have started that as BB1, nobody would be playing it because it's what? But you know, it's kind of like baby steps. You know, BB1. Okay, let's just tweak a couple of things and let's put a point system in there. Everybody liked it. Now let's change a little bit more. But if I would have just came out with this rule set right now, BB4, who wants to play it? I don't think anybody would want to play it. It's too much.
Too evolved.
Yeah, it's too evolved. But since people have been evolving with it, now we have the people we do have now.
Yeah, not only that, but the popularity of the game has really taken off. This game variant. I mean,
it's super recognizable. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go on Facebook and you go to all the many of the playgroup sites, and it's a very common feature for you to see somebody playing an Axis&Allies game with your map. Now, are they playing global? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But we can safely assume that they're actually playing the Bloodbath rule set, the BBR. So
But definitely that map is everywhere.
it's everywhere. It's blown. It's just all over the place, and that's a beautiful thing as far as I'm concerned, because I want this game to this hobby to grow. I mean, today this year earlier this year in March, you had BBR St. Louis.
Yeah,
so,
that was great.
So that's fantastic. It was a successful event that Chaplin hosted, which, by the way, he did an amazing job. I'll tell you, his event was second to none. I mean, very well organized. Everybody was, had I think by the most part, an amazing time there, and I was blown away by the level of organization that Chaplin put forward in this event. So this event, I'm sure there is going to be a BBR St. Louis too, and hopefully it'll continue. And I'm hoping that there are going to be more events popping up throughout the United States, Canada, the UK, and so on and so on. I mean, I'm just currently in a YouTube Wars game with a couple of guys from the UK, Canada, and here in America. So, it's an international thing now. It's a phenomenon, right? So I think it's good. So this leads me to the next question: where do you see the BBR or the community in general within the next 5 years? Do you plan to continue doing this, or do you see an end goal, an objective to this?
Well, unless BB4, I need to fix anything, I would like BB5 to be World War I. So I would like to start I would like to create my own game now and not be attached to Axis and Allies at all, and just make a World War I game. Okay. And so, unless BBR seems to be broke, or we got to tweak some NOs and this and that and the other thing, I can't think of anything else to add to the BBR. Honestly, we've opened up the entire map. You know what I mean? Axis can win so many ways, which is why I think it's kind of leaning on Axis a little bit, because they can pretty much do anything, and there's a point involved. So if anything, I'm going to try to avoid no more map edits. I would like to go to a setup edit. So if there's something I got to fix something, we set up. And the nice thing about the BBR also is it's point driven. So if we need to fix something, we just got to say, okay, well, Axis need 13 points instead of 12 points. And then that'll probably fix any issues that we would have. You know what I mean?
Well, if anything, when I've had conversations with guys that have questioned the changes, I go, listen, if anything, maybe Cyrus should not change the map that often, and maybe just stick more to like placements, a card deck, because the map is a more expensive item and more intricate thing to deal with. So maybe that, maybe that's something that.
That's for sure. I mean, the map has been opened up. I really can't think of anything to do on the map now. So it would just be, like you said, it'd be set up edits, some NO edits, and maybe a victory point increase for the Axis. But we'll find out. We'll find out at this event. Every event we've had has been equal Axis and Allies winners, pretty much. It's always been pretty much close to even. So see what happens.
So that's a really good threshold, Jason. When you, like you say, if there's some kind of balance issue, you raise the point score. If it's really bad, then you're just like, oh, you got to score 15 instead of 13. Well, now that's a much more challenging dynamic for the Axis, right? So I think that's a really good, prudent way to go about it. And I definitely agree. No more map edits would be ideal, but I felt that you guys did a good job with I know there was some images where you could print it out on a good colored printer and then basically tape it onto your map. Because, from photos and stuff, I mean, I guess if you're there, it's a bit different, but from the pictures, you couldn't really tell. And I thought that was well integrated. And if you're thinking about setup changes, my only request is to add the Battle of the River Plate, which would mean you put a German battleship off Argentina/Brazil. You put a British cruiser destroyer there, and then that one side or the other is going to win that fight, or the Germans are going to cut and run. And we've added that to some of our games, whether it was the HPG versions or Global 40, and it's just a lot of fun because sometimes you end up with this loose, damaged German battleship in the middle of the Atlantic, and something to consider, just because it's like you say, it's 50-50, could go this way or that way, right? So something to consider, personal request.
Right on.
But fair enough. And no, and I think you're right. I think you some setup changes would be good. Or another angle is, like obviously BBR is set in a certain year. You could look at 1940 versions, because 42, because sometimes some people will get frustrated with the politics, right? Because it takes so long to get the Allies motivated. What if you did like a 1945 version, and or maybe it's a 4-round version, or it's 1944, and it's about how long can Germany hold out, how long can Japan hold out, and then you've got this like ramping up Allied blitz. But is it enough? And what types of things can you do to kind of, defend Europe or defend the Pacific? Like these types of things would be fun ways to look at it.
Hear what you said.
Sorry, my watch is going off. So that's some other angles, but I really like your idea of pursuing a World War I game, or like an independent game. Bloodbath would be an apt name if that's the theater and time you're going to be looking at. So I'm super excited to see what you got coming.
So I'm assuming, Sire, that this potential future World War I BBR will be following the lines of the 1914 version of the game that came out a few years ago?
No. I want to get my own sculpts tool, and because I when I did programming, I'm actually a 3D artist, so I can make all the 3D models to go to tooling.
That's fantastic.
So doing that is not a big deal. It would just be the tooling cost. And I want the map to be the same size as what we're using for the Bloodbath map. Now, a lot of people have used my video and made game tables. That map needs to fit in all those game tables. So basically, we would roll out the exact same size as the Bloodbath map, but it'd be a World War I map. And how the continents are set up, unknown at this time, it would just be that size 100% for sure.
Interesting.
To fit in the tables in. Like I said, I'll do my own tooling. You know my art. I'll be doing all the art, and we'll see what happens. It'll be a lot of testing going on. But how fun would it be in a future Bloodbath event where we pull out World War I instead? See what happens.
I've been saying for some time now that we got to start a federation, of BBRs where we all participate. We have bunkers all over America, North America, Europe, South America, and
big league. Yeah,
a league. Yes, that would be awesome. A ruling body per se. That'd be great, just for fun.
And just in case you guys didn't know, it's kind of a little funny story. But the reason it's called the Bloodbath rule set is because of our friend Jay.
Oh, really?
And it was his idea to release the rules. I didn't think anybody would want anything to do with the 8-round game. I just thought I would just get shot out of the water. I didn't want to deal with it. I was happy with just us playing it. But those guys, Jay, Albert, and Andrew, and they're just like, man, you got to get this rule set out there. I'm like, no. And then Jay comes around and he said, well, why don't you have an event and you can call it Sire's Bloodbath? I'm like, okay, we're going to have to do that now because it's just of my username. And then he put the bath at the end.
How about that? So the initial impulse to get this thing out there came from Jay. Fantastic.
Yeah, just so I can call it Sire's Bloodbath. It was just kind of like, okay, I'll do it.
All right. So I don't have any more questions for you, Sire. Anything further, Gargantua, on your end? Any other commentaries or questions for our friend here?
No, I think you covered off most of the questions that I wanted to ask. I guess my only question is sort of 2-point. Like, what do you feel are the best features of BBR from your perspective, Jason? Or what are some of the lessons you learned, like, i.e., any of the features that you tried that were like a disaster? You're like, I'm not doing that again. Just because like these lessons learned are actually really valuable for guys who are doing, looking at their own versions, their own house rules. So just thought I'd ask you, can you give us some pictures of, best and worst and what kind of experience you've had?
Yeah, there's been we had a railway disasters, we had paratrooper disasters, and I should point out it's very important, I feel, when you implement a new rule to don't do too many at one time, because it's hard to determine what is breaking your game, you know. So you don't let you can't add just so many different things and they'd be like, oh well, that didn't work. Well, why didn't it work? So it's better, I feel, to implement small things and test it. Okay, we need to tweak it, test it, and then now, okay, now let's add another rule, and you know what I mean. But yeah, we didn't have the paratroopers. Just used to be paratroop, and let me tell you, you have 10 bombers dropping 20 guys into London with a couple transports. It was disastrous. The rail, we had unlimited rail, and man, Russia and Germany be all over the place. It was crazy. So little stuff like that, you know, you only takes a few games to realize that you got to tweak that in some way or another. But yeah,
Trial and error.
yeah, trial and error. Like I said, just don't have too much at one time, because it's really hard to determine what's breaking.
Oh, that's for sure, my brother. Jason, listen, Sired, thanks so much, my brother. I really do appreciate the fact that you took the time on your busy schedule. Same thing with my co-host, Gargantua. I know you guys are very busy, and thank you so much for making the time for being here with us. The community thanks you. I know that for a fact. Constantly being asked by guys, are you making another episode of Decoding? And they're asking. So I know the guys out there want to watch us, you guys, community in general, want to watch and want to know more about the game. So that's what Decoding and the Garrison is all about, trying to create content for the guys out there to enjoy. Once again, thank you. And Gargantua, by the way, publicly, I'm congratulating you and your wife on the birth of your daughter. 7 months delayed, you know, but you know, congratulations, and you know, all the best of luck and health and happiness to your baby daughter.
Thank you. And I want to say, Dtroy, I'm super impressed. Like a week ago or whatever it was, maybe 10 days, this the room that you're in right now was underwater, underwater by a story and a half. And you know, that water drained, and within 10 hours, you're ready to get a new game going in there. And you can't tell from the video now, but I know that it's like, obviously there's damage, there's stress, there's difficulty, but I'm super impressed with your bounce rate back, because I thought you're like, oh, I was like, you know, it's gonna be 2 months before this guy's able to do a video. That's too bad. And here we are a week later, like, nope, I'm into it. I want to do it. My place is up and running. Nothing's gonna stop me from playing Axis&Allies. So I'm impressed.
This thing is in my blood. It's in all our blood. So, you know, you can't get it out. Once it's in us, you know, we can't stop it. We have a love for this hobby. We love the community. We like not only the game itself, but the camaraderie, the guys. They're just absolutely fantastic. And I was blown away by the level of support, encouragement, guys reaching out to me constantly, making sure that I was okay, you know, asking me questions if there was anything they could do. It was just, you know, amazing. And, you know, it just, to be honest, it really made a difference for me, at least emotionally and psychologically, to know that guys were out there really worried and concerned about where, you know, the situation that that my family and I found ourselves in. But listen, where there's a will, there's a way, and here we are today. So there's a lot of room, a lot of work still ahead of me, but the bunker will be back, and it'll be stronger.
Awesome.
All right, guys, that's it, and we promise to make more episodes. We're gonna continue, hopefully, doing so. And as I like to say, don't forget to bunker down and play.
Take care, guys.
Take care.